Okay, please welcome Bishop Gregory Parks, 5th Bishop of the Diocese of St. Petersburg. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be with you, Craig.
Let's start with the executive order relating to refugees and migrants. You have Cardinal Cupich, who said this is a dark day for America. Was he right?
I think he is, actually, and I believe that all Christians really should be concerned about this executive order because of what it does. And we should have a particular care and solicitude for refugees, for immigrants, for those that are being persecuted, those that are being subjected to violence and suffering death in their home countries, that are seeking to come to the United States, seeking freedom, seeking a new life, seeking protection.
Before this order, Pope Francis said it is hypocrisy to call oneself a Christian and turn away a refugee and someone who needs help. So today, can Christians support this executive action without engaging in hypocrisy?
I do believe that it is a moral imperative of being a Christian that we stand up for those that are being persecuted and those that are being subjected to violence. So that's part of our Christian faith. It's part of what we believe Jesus Christ taught us. And so that's part of our religion, part of our faith. And so I do believe that it is the duty, the imperative of Christians to stand up for those that are being persecuted.
And with that in mind, to what extent will you as bishop either instruct or encourage pastors throughout the diocese to discuss this at Mass and encourage their parishioners to take a stand?
Of course, as you know, the Catholic Church is not political in the sense that we're nonpartisan, but when issues such as this executive order and the way it affects refugees and immigrants crosses our moral teachings and beliefs, we do ask our pastors first and foremost to pray about the situation and ask their parishioners to do the same. So at our Masses on the weekend, we'll be offering prayers for refugees as well as for our president. You know, we do pray for President Trump and for our political leaders whenever we gather for Mass on Sundays.
One of your stated goals following a very contentious election is to try to help our community heal from it. It's more contentious, it seems, than before the election. How, as bishop, can you accomplish this?
I think primarily by doing what we do as a church, which is to pray, to counsel those that are having significant or serious difficulties accepting the results of the election, but primarily to pray for unity and to pray for peace in our country.
You also have prioritized, as has Pope Francis, serving the poor and doing more in that regard. What more can the diocese do, and what changes will you implement to that priority?
Here in the Diocese of St. Petersburg, which is this 5-county area here in West Central Florida, we have a well-established Catholic Charities organization that ministers and cares for the poor, for the homeless. Of course, Pinellas Hope is a major outreach project that the diocese sponsors, as well as St. Vincent de Paul societies and the local outreach that our parishes and local communities engage in at the very, very local level.
So you were ordained as a priest 1999.
1999, yes.
13 years later, you're a bishop. Yes. What do you think that the cardinals and 2 different popes have seen in you for you to ascend to such high levels of leadership within the church in such a relatively short amount of time?
That's a very good question, Craig, and I'm not sure I have the exact answer to that other than my call to the priesthood was a call to be a parish priest, to serve in a local community. And I think that's something I always embraced with a great deal of passion when I was a priest. And I try to bring that to my role now as a bishop. So I've never forgotten what it's like to be a pastor in a very local community. Now I'm called as a bishop to serve a much larger community.
I know that you've lost both of your parents at relatively younger ages. What has that instilled in you to help others coping with grief and loss?
I think while it was a very difficult period in my life to lose my mom and dad at, as you said, a relatively young age, in the end, I always believe that God has the ability to bring some type of good out of even suffering and loss. In this case, I think losing my parents like I did has helped me to be a better priest and better able to minister to and to be compassionate to those who lose their parents and loved ones at young ages as well.
Among the challenges the church is facing is a shortage of priests in general. How do you address that as bishop in the diocese, and what role do you think women will play, and is it conceivable in our lifetime perhaps that women may one day serve as priests?
It's a very good question, and I would say the issue of vocation shortage is really a regional question. It depends diocese to diocese as to how they're doing with attracting new vocations to the priesthood and ordaining priests. Here in our diocese of St. Petersburg, we're very blessed. We currently have almost 30 men who are studying to be priests. Now, hopefully they'll all be ordained one day, but some may not. But that's still a very, very good number, and it gives us a lot of hope locally that we'll be able to continue to serve the church. With regard to the role of women, women have played and do play today a very important role in the life of our church, even though they don't serve as priests or deacons. They do take on very important roles of administration as well as ministry and leadership in our parish. My executive team at the diocese, our chancellor for the diocese, Joan Morgan, is a woman, and she serves the diocese and has served very well for many years.
You also have some unique perspective that many priests don't have, because you worked as a banker in the business world for several years. You did it here in Tampa, as a matter of fact. What skills does that give you, and how do you apply that to your work as bishop in the diocese?
Well, certainly it's been very helpful whenever the church has to look to borrow money or engage with banks to do business. But I think I was an office manager, I was a branch manager, so it was that personal contact that I had with people, trying to serve them and to meet their needs. And having a degree in finance and experience in banking has been very helpful in my priesthood and now as a bishop with regard to trying to be good stewards of the church's finances and money. Final thoughts. Before you craft a vision going forward, you're on a listening tour. What are you hearing? Well, I'm about to engage on the listening tour. I hope to hear some very good things that we're currently doing as a diocese, but I also want to hear from our people what we could do better. I want to listen to them, and I want to ask them, what should we be focusing on as a local church, as a diocese? What types of ministries perhaps are we not currently engaged in that we can embrace as a diocese to serve the community? Bishop Gregory Parks, thank you for your time. Thank you very much, Craig. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.